Gotta say, my favorite part of Barbenheimer was when they teased the epic showdown between Ken and Albert Einstein in the upcoming sequel, Kenstein.
Oh my god, bro.
Hello YouTube, Joe Kiger here, and it's time to give my review of Barbenheimer. Like a true disciple of cinema and meaningless trends, I did see these movies back to back on opening weekend and have two very different opinions on the two parts of Barbenheimer. So let's start with the first part of this pop culture phenomenon, Barbie. I went into Barbie fully expecting to like it. The cast looked incredible, and the trailers made it seem like it was going to be a very fun and humorous movie, while the cast and director Greta Gerwig emphasized the heart of the movie that was going to be present. I'm also a fan of Greta Gerwig and have seen Lady Bird and Little Women, which I did a review on in this channel because it made such a profound impact on me. So I was excited for this and had high expectations for Barbie, and I can honestly say that my expectations were met. Barbie is a very entertaining, funny movie that I genuinely had a blast with. It fully tapped into the goofiness of its concepts and was very self-aware, which made for some hilarious moments. I really loved the look and feel of the movie, especially in Barbie Land, which was highly stylized and colorful, and which was also assisted by some very cartoony editing that I was a big fan of. I also enjoyed pretty much all of the performances in the movie, with Ryan Gosling definitely being the standout as Ken, who I found absolutely hilarious. It is very entertaining, but I would not say Barbie is a flawless movie by any stretch of the imagination. I definitely had some issues with certain elements that felt unnecessary, especially as the movie entered its third act. Towards the end, it feels like the movie is trying to reach its conclusion for a solid 30 to 40 minutes, which kind of disrupted the pacing and made scenes feel excessively drawn out. I will also say that there are a few moments where the movie feels a little bit too preachy, but honestly, the preachiness wasn't a big issue for me at all because I was mostly just captivated by the overall theme of the movie that was shared. Barbie, at the end of the day, is a story about humanity. What I love about Greta Gerwig in her 3 movies that I've seen at this point is that she holds such a firm understanding of the human experience and displays her talent for telling those very deeply human stories in each one of her films. Barbie, like Lady Bird and like Little Women, was so effective in showing what it means to be human and experience life in all of its aspects. This raw depiction of life was the heartbeat of the movie and gave way to some extremely touching moments that were at times heartwarming and at other times tear-jerking. I loved the movie for this. Also, Barbie's arc really resonated with me as she learned to appreciate life despite all the trials and tribulations that it involves, and also learned to see the beauty in humanity, not only in other people, but also in herself. I thought it was really meaningful and touching, so I really enjoyed Barbie and think it did a phenomenal job of being funny and entertaining while also having that deep human message that was very impactful for me and I think for all people. Oppenheimer, on the other hand, was a totally different story for me. Frankly, I did not expect to like it. I knew it was going to be 3 hours long, that was a red flag, and I knew it was Chris Nolan, which was also a red flag because I haven't liked Tenet or Dunkirk, which are his last couple of movies. But then on the other hand, I heard things about early screenings that were leaving audiences speechless, and I thought this movie could be groundbreaking and revolutionary. So while I didn't expect to like it, I thought it was going to be a really impactful experience. What I really experienced was just boredom from another Christopher Nolan film that I would say is not special and that I was not a fan of. It's so frustrating to see movies like Oppenheimer because I can't really criticize them that much. From a technical achievement perspective, it's really good. Christopher Nolan wanted to tell a story about this guy Oppenheimer and portray it in a very specific way, and in that regard, he did exactly what he wanted to do, and the movie is really good in that sense. But for my personal enjoyment of a film, it just fell short. I did not like Oppenheimer. I was bored by it. Even though I think the subject matter is extremely interesting and the perspective of Oppenheimer that they showed was a really interesting perspective and he's an interesting guy, I honestly just felt like this movie was boring and much too long. The performances were really great across the board, and there were some very powerful moments sprinkled throughout the movie, but overall, I was just disinterested. 3 hours is simply too long for a movie for me. The pacing was not always consistent. So many scenes to me felt like they dragged and also did not leave the impact that I felt they should have had. The movie also got harder to follow for me as it went along, and by the end, I just didn't care. I reached a point where I stopped caring what happened to Oppenheimer, what happened to anybody, and I was like, okay. And the conclusion that Oppenheimer faces didn't really feel that impactful to me. For a 3-hour biopic about one of the most influential people in history, I felt like there were very low stakes for what happened by the end. Although I will say, I think the very final scene was incredible and it was very cool. But again, overall, it just kind of felt meaningless by the end of it, for me personally. Those things being said, I honestly did not like Oppenheimer. I can understand why some people think it's really good, and I'm fine with the movie getting good reviews and even great reviews. But I definitely don't think this is one of the best movies ever made, and that's how some people are describing it. It's currently sitting at the 27th best movie of all time on IMDb, and I wholeheartedly disagree with that. So in conclusion, I really liked Barbie and really did not care for Oppenheimer, which is probably a sentence you're not going to hear a lot of people say, but that's truly how I feel about Barbenheimer. But now I want to know how you guys feel about Barbenheimer. How would you rate each movie, and which one did you like more? Also, tell me what you think of my thoughts in the comments. Do you agree with me or disagree with me? And I appreciate all of you guys watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.